Hey guys, so I wanted to do this stream because I was thinking about 2022 and setting up a good 2022 in comparison to whatever I felt like I felt short in 2021 in previous years. Now, as you guys know, I started an auto invest for certain stocks starting in November. And I just thought to myself, man, I wish I had done this sooner because it's really idiot proof. As long as you have money in your bank account, you can pull out money. So, for example, let's say you have, give an example here, $2,000 in your bank account. You always have money coming in, and you say, every month I want $100 getting pulled from my bank account going into some sort of investment, whether it be a stock, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, whatever, right? This is truly idiot proof because you don't have to do anything. You could go on vacation for 5 years. As long as you got money in your bank account and it's pulling out, you are fine. And it's one of those big regrets I had in life because I wish, and I've told you guys this before, I wish I started investing when I first heard about investing big time in high school. So I graduated from high school in 2006. And I remember around 2002, 2003 era, there was a person that I knew, and their family was into investments. They were in the financial sector, and they had invested, I think, about $2,000 or so in Apple, Amazon, Google, that Microsoft, those kind of stocks. And I remember they were telling me about it, and I thought to myself, like, what is the point of that? Like, what do you do with it? Now, see, I was although I knew this person very well and their parents were very financially savvy, my dumb brain in high school could not comprehend why I should invest. Now, I've had family who are investments, but there was never no sit down talk about investing. And I didn't start investing until 2017. So during that period of time, 2006 and 2003 to 2003-ish to 2017, that's 14 years I missed out. And believe me when I say I really wish I had invested back in 2003, even though I didn't have that much money because it would have been something, right? You guys can look and see what the price of those stocks were back in 2003. And of course, some of these stocks, they did do split shares and things like that. Now, entering 2022, right? I know in my head, I'm still always going to have those regrets in my life. I'm going to say, why didn't I invest not in 2017? Why did I invest back in 2003? Why didn't someone tell me about that? And I thought about it and I thought, I never want to set my kid up having the same mistake. If I have a child one day, if I'm blessed with a child one day, I don't ever want my child to go through this like torture where they kind of wish that they were invested into something. And I think sometimes the most loving thing a parent can do is communicate to their child the importance of not only making money, but also growing their money as well. Because the best thing to do, and I don't know if you guys can kind of tell, right? I think it's so much smarter if you can spend more time enjoying your life, having your money work for you, rather than slaving away and then saying, I got to depend on my boss. So, for example, right? Here's an example for you guys. Let's say you guys make $15 an hour. Okay. You have your job, $15 an hour job for X amount of years, and you're making money and you're putting it in a bank account and life is going on and you're saving your money, okay? Now, imagine part of the money that you have, you squirrel it away into an investment portfolio. Now, you can invest in whatever you want. It could be, I would not recommend gold or silver just because I think if you have zero intention to sell, it's kind of useless. That's just me. It also doesn't pay you dividends from what I pick up. It's more like you just buy the gold and the silver and you put it in a safety deposit box, and it's like out of sight, out of mind. And I rather have something that if I need to, I can sell it, or I get some dividends from it. Now, Imagine if you are completely dependent on your boss, that is a scary thing, because what if you lose your job, right? What if your boss tells you, oh, hey, we want to do a hiring freeze, or we don't want to give anybody pay raises for 3 years? You're going to get stuck at your current pay. And I don't like the idea of money being capped out on whatever your boss decides to give to you. I had shared with you guys back when I was, after I graduated from college, I had a terrible, terrible job. I had a health insurance job, which I would not recommend at all. But I remember my boss, who was a terrible person, in my opinion. I remember she told me, she said, you better feel lucky that you have this job, Erica, because you didn't have any medical experience. You were just some college graduate that I signed on. And it wasn't that I was incompetent. It was that the standards were so high. There was a reason why I lost like 40% of my team in 1 month. It wasn't because everybody was just lazy. It was because it was just insane. And those words haunted me for a number of years. And I thought to myself that, man, if the workplace is like this, geez, it's very depressing. One of the things that what I picked up from that is that sometimes bosses, and I'm not going to say about all bosses, but sometimes bosses can make you kind of feel that if you want to get more pay, you need to work harder. And if you work as hard as you can and you still don't make that much money, then that's all you're worth. And again, I refuse to believe that. I think that people should invest heavily into, have some kind of investment portfolio, because you don't want to be tied down to whatever your boss deems that you're worth. You don't want to look into your account and say, okay, well, I made $15 an hour, so that's all I'm going to make, whatever 15 times 2,080 is. Like, you don't want that to be your only thing. Now, if you make substantially more in 1 year because of your investments, right? That would be even better. That's very empowering and that's very freeing. And I want the same kind of thing for my child, because I don't ever want my child, when my child becomes an adult, to say, oh, yeah, I'm stuck with a job and I don't know how I'm going to get rich because my job only pays me X amount. I've told you guys this before, but I feel that depending on the area that you live in, sometimes, companies can collude. And I know this sounds very terrible for me to say this, but I think sometimes companies can say, okay, well, we're going to pay everybody this amount for this kind of job. And if you're not happy with it, then you need to move from this state or this area, because that's what we've all decided. I remember I was hearing, there was this one person, and they moved back to Hawaii because of family, and they realized that they were getting paid about 30% less for a job in Hawaii compared to like on the East Coast. And the reason being is that in Hawaii, the companies, they just don't pay that much in the position. Just like standard across the board, they pay about 30% less than people in the continental United States. And you can't fight that, And with that kind of thing in mind, it just made me think, like, yikes, there might be people who might be leaving their country or their state or their area because of this. And sometimes people don't want to leave their country for better opportunities. What if they could stay in their place of residence and their investment portfolio can help pull them? See where I'm getting at? So that is why I think it's very important when you guys, this is the reason why when I talk about this kind of stuff, it's like you hear me talk about the importance of investing, and it's just like a bigger picture over here. So this article over here says this calculator tells you how much money your kid could have had at 18 if you invest for them now. And they talk about compound interest. When I was in high school, this was total one ear. It went in one ear and went out the other ear. I was like, compound interest? That's so boring. Like, that sounds like something old people have to do. I don't want to deal with. Like, I was Like, I wasn't a bad student in high school. It's just like you gotta think. I mean, like, I was a teenager. I didn't really have a lot of foresight. I just kind of thought to myself, like, okay, whatever. Okay, this is gonna take 20 years. Whatever. It's gonna take so long. And now, it's been about, well, how many years? Like 15 years, right? More than 15 years since yeah, like 15 years since I graduated. 15, 16 years since I graduated. And now I'm thinking, like, if only I took advantage of that compound interest since 2006 to now. Oh. So let's see over here. So they talk about saving for your kids calculator. They say that if you start from birth and you do a daily contribution of $5, then by the time your kid is 18 years old, I'm assuming, right? Is this 18 years old? Yeah, this is 18 years old. You invest, let's say, $32,000. By the time your kid turns 18, the kid gets $32,000. So it's about double the money, right? And I know some people would say, oh, well, Erica, yeah, that sounds cool and all. How do you set it up? My thinking is that don't listen to this stuff and then just saying, oh, okay, well, I'll just put $5 in a piggy bank. You need to have a system in place, okay? So 5 times 30 is $150. So download something, right? Have something in place where you're pulling out $150 a month from your bank account and putting it directly into some sort of investment. Again, an auto invest is the way to go, because if you guys are like on top of it and you're like, I will do this every single day or every single week, like, great on you. But for me, I lose track of time very easily. And something like this, I know I might do it for 1 or 2 months and then I'll be like, oh, wait, I'm supposed to pull out money from my bank or, put it directly into the investment every 4th of the month or every 16th of the month. I'm not going to be able to do that. It's just like, I know it sounds very irresponsible for me to say it that way, but I'm not going to remember 2 times or 1 time a month for the rest of my life to check in and pull this kind of thing. So my thing is just set up an auto invest, have a system do it for you, and that way you feel like you're doing something, but you're really not doing something after you have that thing in place. So this kind of thing is very important. So you can see the difference between investing and high yield savings. So if you just do put in a high yield savings account, what is this? Annual return, high yield saving 1.5%. So instead of having the potential 65,000, and this is the 65,000 is calculated from a 7% return. If you only have 1.5%, you can see it goes down dramatically. This is the reason why I feel very, very strongly about making sure you have good investments. And it's something that you feel very confident in having. Here's some other material if you guys want to look into it. How much to transfer stocks to my kids. For me, what I'm planning to do is just have the stocks in my own personal portfolio. Set up my auto invest, add more money in there. And then if I do have a child one day, if I am blessed with a child one day, then I'll move my stocks into a folder. I mean, not folder, a portfolio for my child. But I'm not in a rush to do it, okay? If it's in my personal portfolio and I'm planning to give it to my kid, I can do it when the kid's 17 or 18. And who knows? Maybe it'll be later, maybe it'll be earlier. But this kind of stuff, right? It's good to know. And if you're not smart enough to figure it out, or you feel overwhelmed, ask a professional. Do some research online. I think for this, there's some things like transferring a stock certificate. It's like someone serve as a guarantor. I don't understand that. I'm like, okay, well, I'll deal with it later. But the most important thing is having the money in a portfolio to grow, right? So transferring an electric certificate kind of thing, all this stuff, selling it. I'm not going to deal with this kind of stuff yet. All I know is in the future, if I say, okay, I have X amount of stocks I want to give to my kid, how do I do it? It's not going to be a 1 or 2 year process. It's going to be pretty quick. So let's talk about the investment calculator, which you guys saw over here. And this was already pre-filled. So let's say we're starting in January 2022. Let's say, you're planning 20 years out. Maybe in 2 years you'll have a kid. Let's say your return rate, I want to say return rate's going to be 15%. Some people are going to criticize me for that. And let's say at the end of every month, You tell yourself, remember the other $150, right? $5 a day times 30, $150. So every month you're adding $150 in investments into a portfolio or some commodities, or some, actually I screwed the commodities, some sort of like stock portfolio, cryptocurrency, something that grows. And if you do this, look at this. So this is the beauty of it. And again, I was too dumb to realize this back when I was in high school, because I couldn't fathom myself being 20 years older when I was, let's say, 13. Oh, so dumb, Erica. But look at this. Total contributions, $36,000, but the interest you can accumulate is $160,000. See that? So if I put in, right, let's say for 20 years, I put in $150 a month for my future child, and this grows 15% a year. By the time my kid is 20 years old, assuming I have a kid right now, right, my kid will have access to $196,000. If my kid, let's say 30 years from now, right? And so I would be 30 years from now, I would be 63. My kid would be 30, assuming I had a kid today. Possibly the portfolio could be $834,000, but this all depends on how the stock market goes, right? The trajectory of it, we don't know. Maybe it'll tank down for 15 years. I don't know. If so, let's just say, okay, instead of 15%, let's say we have a 7% return rate. That's still a pretty good chunk of money. I mean, at least if your total contributions is $54,000, at least you get $121,000 in interest. I mean, having $121,000 interest is so much better than just sitting around having only $54,000, you see? And this kind of thing is extremely important for people to kind of pick up and kind of keep into their mind, and that's why I talk about this stuff. So, what stocks would I want to have for my future child? Unsurprisingly, can you guys guess what it is? It's Apple. Part of it's going to be Apple. I was coming up across this thing over here. It says Apple Unveils limited edition year of the Tiger Beat Studio Buds. And you guys might think, okay, Erica, that's cool. What's so big about it? I like the idea that Apple is very in tune with the Chinese consumer. They could have been saying, "Oh, screw it, we don't care about changing this year of the tiger stuff." They could have said, "Let's just keep doing the white one, whatever." But they actually had people go out of their way to update this stuff just to have more sales for their studio buds. And that to me is really something, because Apple can be complacent if they want to. But I actually don't think Apple's complacent at all. I always think they try to push the boundary, or shall I say, think differently. And that's something that whenever I think about Apple, I think, oh my gosh, Erica, why didn't you invest into Apple sooner? Coulda, woulda, shoulda. I can't take back time. But me recognizing that Apple is always trying to be better, that kind of tells me that that's something to just, it's a company that I feel is very, very strong. And you guys know Apple Car is going to be coming out, rumored to be coming out in a few years. They are working on it. It's supposed to be a self-driving Apple Car. You know, as well as I know, once this car drops, the stock price will go up. Apple will not just be pushing out a piece of crap. They will push out something that is sleek, sexy, and it works. And if it does not work well, they're not going to push it out. Think about all the stuff that Apple has pushed out, right? They pushed out the iPhones, the MacBooks, AirPods, whatnot. All these products are highly rated, and they aren't going to mess around with the Apple Car. So I'm looking forward to the Apple Car dropping, and I know that they're going to do it right. The other thing I'm thinking about investing on, I'm not even going to say thinking about, okay, I'm planning to. I'm already investing into these companies, is Tesla. Tesla, because they have no rival. And I think about Tesla just kind of being a game changer. Now, I know people would say, well, Erica, what if Tesla has competition from Apple? What if this or that? I think Tesla is so advanced from their competition, and I think that they're going to have a widening gap. I think also that Tesla is going to branch out from just one thing and just move into other things as well. So I'm actually very, very pro Tesla, believe it or not. Sometimes I kind of think about it, I'm like, but the other times I think about it, I'm like, hey, you know what? I think Tesla's going to grow in the future. So Apple, I'm sure is going to grow. Tesla, I'm sure it's going to grow. Will this be sustainable over the next 18 years? Debatable. Maybe Tesla will go under, but I can guarantee you Apple, pretty damn sure Apple is not going to go under, because what other computer company can you think of out there that has the brand reach like Apple? It ain't Samsung. It isn't Microsoft. It isn't Google. What is it? Lenovo? Like, no, that's not it. It's not Dell either. And it's not, don't even try to tell me it's Acer or Asus or whatnot, okay? It's not Sony. I don't even know if Sony's making it. So Apple's like the premium, and all the other companies like Samsung's that try to emulate them, I just think that they're not going to overtake. So it's really, really something. So these are the two major ones that I want to do. I'm also thinking about adding in an ETF. And I hope that by investing in these companies, I don't know. You know, like the thing is that you guys know I'm very much pro tech. So Apple is going to be a given for me. Tesla, I want to do Tesla because I really feel like it's a good growth stock. And I know if I don't invest into Tesla, I know I'm going to be kicking myself in the butt. I'm going to say, why did I invest into Tesla? Why did I have as a long-term hold? And this is just my opinion, okay? So you, of course, right, I have to always say this, right? Just because people tell me to say it, but they say, like, this is not financial advice. This is me just giving you guys my thoughts. And, I rather invest into those kind of stocks, like bigger growth stocks, than something like Verizon or AT&T or Disney. I know. Sonny was saying that he thought Disney was a good company. For me, I think Disney. What is Disney basically? You got Disney as like some of the sports stuff. You have it with the movies. You have it with the merchandise, Disneyland. I just don't Disney Plus, that sort of thing. I'm not into Disney really. I think it's kind of boring. I look at the chart for Disney. I'm like, whatever. It's a stable company. Don't get me wrong, but I like more growth companies. And of course, if you have higher growth companies, if the economy tanks, it's going to take a hit. But from what I notice, that the tech companies are the ones that bounce back if anything goes down. So let's say the stocks plummet down 6% in the tech sector, and other stocks tank down too. The first stocks that are going to recover quicker is going to be tech. I would not bet against tech at all. I mean, like I think I have more faith into Apple than I do in Disney in terms of the long term. But depending on who you talk about, right? Some people will be like, oh, Apple's going to go bankrupt in like 3. No, they're not. There has to be something that is going to give them a run for the money. And it ain't going to be Microsoft. And it ain't going to be Lenovo. That's for sure. So all this stuff, it's just like, we'll see what happens. And I thought about it too. I thought, well, what if Tesla goes under? What if something catastrophic happens and Tesla goes under? I'm sure my Apple stock will save my kids' portfolio. So I think about it that way as well. But I don't think Tesla will go under. I think that there's a lot of upside for Tesla. And once my stock, and I know this is going to sound bold here, but I think once my stock goes up significantly, like if I have over 100% gain, I'm not going to be worried too much about, let's say, 2% going down or 3% going down and things like that. But I really do believe Apple and Tesla is a great shining light. But yeah, I'm planning to add in another ETF in there. I'm thinking maybe like a VTO or VTI or QQQ in there. But just having it like a nice little 33%, unless I add another one, and then I could go, 25, and that's just percentage wise, right? So whatever amount I decide to put into a investment moving forward, just kind of do that. Oh, Tim Cook needs to retire. They have a lot of talent. I think Apple's doing fine. I don't know. I think Tim Cook has caused the price to go up, right? I don't think of Tim Cook as a negative thing. Tim Cook was the one who he was part of the. I mean, under his leadership, they have that whole self-service Apple repair program that's supposed to be coming out. So, yeah. I mean, eventually he's gonna retire. And when he retires, if the stock goes up, great. But he doesn't live forever. He's kind of, I don't imagine him working for the next 20, 30 years. But who knows? Maybe I'll be wrong. Most likely he will step down eventually. But I don't have anything bad to say about Apple under Tim Cook's leadership at all. So this kind of stuff, right? So yeah, look at this. See? So UBS is no rival to get even close to Tesla in 2022, hikes price target. And I can't click on this stupid thing. I hate it whenever I get these freaking paywalls. I'm like, screw you. So see this? Where are we here? Yeah, so they think Tesla's gonna go up. I heard that they plan. I've heard it floating around that they think the price is gonna hit 1,900 or so. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it goes up to 1,300 this year, 1,400, I'd be quite happy. So all this stuff is just incredibly important for people to keep in mind, and I hope that you guys think about investing for not only your future, but also your child's future. Because again, you don't want, I hate to say it this way, but I'm going to say it this way. You don't want to look back when your kid is, let's say 15 years from now, and then you look at some stocks and you're like, man, I should have invested into something for my child. And man, imagine if you had like 15 years of growth during that time. And it's a really good way of introducing it's really good way of introducing wiser financial choices to a kid. I think that one of the things that education is lacking, at least from what I pick up in the United States, is the importance of not just relying on your boss to make you rich. A lot of people, this is just my personal opinion, I think if people are relying on their boss to make them rich, then chances are they're going to be suffering a life of hardship, a lot of them, because a lot of people are invested into the service industry. They're into, kind of low paying jobs. Something like $15 an hour is not rich, at least in big cities in the United States, like New York. $15 an hour is kind of like a joke. I mean, have you seen the rents in New York? And I worry that people are going to get jaded and they're going to ask themselves, what's the point of investing if I don't see immediate gains? And that kind of thinking is absolute clown thinking, okay? Like, I made that mistake when I was in high school. I am not going to make that same mistake with my future kid. If I have an investment portfolio and my portfolio isn't as great as I want it to be just because some investments went bad, then I will feel much better about that than say, okay, I didn't even invest at all. So let's look at this investment calculator over here. Now, let's say I do this, and you can see how this starts off, $0. And then end balance for, let's say I started this year, $1,857. And then next year it has a little bit of interest. You can see the interest right here on this column. And although it seems stupid to some people be like, $187.04, Erica, in year 2. That's like packing peanuts. That's insignificant. That's a waste of your time. No, but look what happens as the years go on, right? And then you get up to 2,000, which might not seem like a lot to some people, but then as time goes on, it gets more and more significant. Of course, it all varies about how much money you put in. And if you put in, let's say, instead of 150, let's say you put in something like $400 a month. Let's say $450, right? Actually, let's say $500. If you put $500 a month towards your kid's investment portfolio every month, look at this. It goes up more. So first year, you only get $190. And I know people will be like, there's no point, $190 in interest, whatever, that's cheap, Erica. Then you get 623, 3 years in, 4 years in. I mean, look, if you invested into this and your kid is 5 years old and that portfolio is getting 2,114, no 5-year-old can do $2,000 worth of chores in 1 year. I don't think so. So yeah, the kid will be going through their teenage years, and all they have to do is just continue to live, and money will just grow, provided you keep investing $500 a month into this. So if you can afford it, then by all means you can throw $500 in your kid's portfolio. You can see though, right, if you put in that much money, by the time the kid is 18, finishing up their 18th year, the end balance is already 210,000, assuming it grows 7% a year. So let's see. So let's do 19 years. So you put in $114,000 for your child, and the interest is $117,000, and that's a lot. That sounds like a lot of money, and it is kind of like a lot of money over 19 years. But I think sometimes like people spend $500 a month like on, pretty easily. They could be like, okay, I'm going to spend $500 a month on like $200 on getting their hair done at a salon, $100 on nails. That's already $300 there. Let's see. And then you can spend the other $200 on eating out. So I don't think it's hard pressed to find some people who can cut $500 from their spending a month. Yeah, so Hannah says, invest in your kids' future. Steer them into a career that they do well in. It's never how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Exactly. For me, the way I see it is that I hope that my investments steer my kid in a good direction. And I really want my child to, I really want to encourage my child. And I know this is going to sound very, I don't want to say privileged, but I really want to steer my child and tell them, hey, if you want to be a creative person, let's say you really want to try being a writer, or let's say you really want to try become a painter, you can try it. You can try it. I mean, like as long as they make money and they invest well, I think that it could actually work for them. But it would be in part because they already do have investment holdings that I had to start when they were younger. You see, it's very freeing, I think, if a kid gets out of high school, and if my kid tells me, Mom, you know what, I want to try become a writer, so I don't want to go to college, I just want to take some time off and write. I would say, are you sure you want to do that? How about this? You get a part-time job maybe, and then just to pay for your, some of your expenses, and yeah, you can totally be a writer if you want. You want to take 3 years off, go for it. Because then I wouldn't really worry too much about my kid because of that portfolio. I think that once my kid graduates from high school, I think, at the 19th year, I probably cut funding to this portfolio. But until then, I want to make sure that my kid has their best foot forward, and that's one of those things. I don't want my kid to ever find themselves in a situation where they say, I wanted to pursue my dreams, but I couldn't because, I didn't have a safety net. And I think if I can try to set something up so my kid does feel like they do have a safety net, it would be a good thing. Now, not everybody can have that safety net, okay? So I'm not going to say it like, oh, yeah, it's like it's possible for everybody. But I think that I can do that. So yeah, it's like I think also college is getting incredibly expensive as well, and it worries me. I knew about someone who wanted to go to college a couple years back, and I was so shocked, you guys. Like for college, like state college here in Hawaii, even a community college, it's like $7,000 a month. That was mind blowing. I was like, $7,000 a month for community college? You gotta be kidding me. Like, this stuff is so expensive. And I know people would say, well, just go into trades. If you go into trades, you'll pay well, become like a plumber or something like that. But I just worry about the price of education going up, and it scares me. It makes me worried because I wonder how much will education be when my kid, how much will college be if I have a kid, let's say 2 years from now, and then in 2000, let's say 2024, 2044. How much will college be in 2044? Oh, it's gonna be so expensive, you guys. I'm scared. I have a good feeling like college will not be affordable to a lot of people, and I can tell you from personal experience that college can be a total. It can be kind of like a waste of money because it's like a piece of paper. Like it opens doors for you, but it doesn't ensure you're gonna get a good paying job. So yeah, I mean you can have a job where you're making $40,000 a year, but you had to pay 20 something thousand for college. And some people would say, "Oh, well maybe it'll pay off, because you got that job with your college degree." But man, I mean that's a big chunk of money. I know some people, it's like they make a good amount of money, but they had to go through so much freaking student loans to get their job. Yeah, I guess STEM field would work well. Like if you go nursing, that would be well. Engineer, plumber, accountant, that kind of stuff. But if you do like other things, let's say something like, what did I say? Just like some, I don't want to call it low value college degree. Like an arts and science college degree. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like political science isn't guaranteed to give you a high paying job, right? Like that. Yeah, it's getting a political science degree from a state university does not ensure you'll be making more than $40,000. You can be a cashier with a political science degree. And you can be a cashier with any degree. I remember, I don't know if I told you guys, but I had this one classmate, and I went to business college with them. And I saw them working as a cashier at CVS, and I was so shocked, you guys. Like, I don't mean that in a disparaging way, but I was shocked because they had graduated from finance, and I thought to myself, they have a degree in business and finance, and they have to work as a cashier. What does that tell you about the job market? It tells you that they couldn't find a job most likely because this was a couple of years after we graduated. Yeah, pharmacist is a given, but not all pharmacists can get jobs, right? There's a lot. I think there's a saturation of pharmacists, if I've been hearing it right. I mean, think about it. How many stores need pharmacists out there? Is there a pharmacist shortage? There was a pharmacist shortage a while back, but I don't think there's one anymore. But yeah, pharmacists can make bank. I heard pharmacists make about 150K a year. But I also hear that it's a stressful job. Like the techs, the farm techs, are overworked and things like that. Like some companies, they always try to cut. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard it from several people who are involved in pharmacy that it's not that it's not like an easy job. It's not like, oh, okay, let me go grab this on the shelf for you. It can be pretty chaotic. And then you also have to know about drug interactions. You gotta, in case anything happens, if the doctor gives too much prescription or something like that. Like, yeah, we have a huge shortage for builders, plumber, electricians, carpenters. Oh wow, did not know that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really. I hear about the trades thing, but I don't know how many people are going to the trades now in the United States. I think more people want to be just white collar workers. They don't. They want to be like, oh, okay, well, I'll just sit in an office chair, or maybe do some data entry. I don't have to get dirty. I don't have to be a mechanic. That kind of stuff. So yeah, that is just my little thinking out loud kind of thing, and I hope my stream just gives people something to think about. I really feel, and I know this is gonna sound terrible, but I really feel bad for the people who don't think about this kind of stuff, because I worry that as times get tougher, and I know this sounds funny for me to talk about investments while I'm talking about times getting tougher, but I worry as times get tougher, some people will, they'll just hoard their money in a bank account. And then as the stock market goes up, they'll be like, oh, well, I can't invest into the stock market at all. And if the stock market shoots up, then you kind of lose the wave, kind of thing. I remember, if you screwed up with your investments, it doesn't mean that you don't have to get back into the game. Like my JD stock went from 108 to 65, $108 in February 2001 to now $65, and I'm still holding on. I'm like, frick, it's gonna go back up. JD.com is huge, but I just gotta ride it up. So all that kind of stuff, all that kind of stuff is just like the bigger picture, and time moves on and time ticks on. And my personal hope for myself is that my stock portfolio amasses to be large enough that I feel that it's a safety net for me. And I really would be so happy. I really would be so happy if my stock portfolio gets really high. And maybe it's kind of a stretch, but I've known people who have become rich just because of the stock market, and having conversations with them, it's just like you talk to them and they just seem so free. Like I can't, like, when I talk to some of these people, and they do work, they're still amassing money, but it's clear when they say, yeah, you know what, if I'm ever tired of my job, I can quit at any time. And like them having that kind of freedom, it's like you can see that they're not, they like making money, they like growing their investments. But if they quit their job, they're not going to be they're not going to be hurting financially for much, you see, because it's like they're just so financially stable with their holdings. And I've been really fortunate to be around these kind of individuals, and yeah, they don't, they still work, they don't make that much money, some of them, but their investment holdings are huge. And it's just incredible. I think sometimes, and I want to talk about this, right? Sometimes I think people have this misconception that if you don't live a flashy life, then you must be poor. But what life has taught me is this. Some of the most financially stable people I have met in my life, they look like they're poor. They're not wearing brand name stuff. They're not buying new clothes. They're not having, let's say, a brand name computer. I'm talking like they're not going to buy an Apple computer. Like you ask them, like, oh, do you want to buy an Apple computer? They'll be like, nah, it's kind of pricey. I'll just buy like a Acer or something instead. They'll buy something cheap, maybe a couple $100, and then they'll use that difference to invest into their stock portfolio, and then they'll make more money. And yeah, whenever I interact with these people, it's like you see they have so much calmness in their face, and it's startling to see. It's startling to see because, like, on the flip side of it, you got people who it's like they're so wrapped up in a lifestyle where they want to prove to people how rich they are, and they're like, oh, look at me, I got this expensive watch, or I got this expensive this, or I got this expensive car. And it's really just like clown behavior, because at the end of it, you find out that these people are broke. And it's like, okay, well, great. It's great that you have that expensive watch, but does that watch provide for you? Because once you pay money for that watch, it's not making you any money. You see, it's like an asset you have, but it's not like you have your watch for 2 years and then the watch gives you like dividends or anything like that. So that's the kind of thing that I'm noticing in people, and that's why for me, I aim to live, heavily, like as low as I can in terms of spending, because I realize like I don't want to keep up with like any Joneses. I want to just live my own life, and I don't want to be sending the message where it's like, oh well, you know, look at me, I must be financially stable because I have this, you know, I have this Chanel purse or something like that. I think that's a kind of wrong thinking, and at the end of it, like, who benefits from that kind of image? It's really the stores. You know, Chanel would benefit from that. Credit card companies would benefit from that. If someone is buying an Apple computer because they want to show off how successful they are, then Apple's benefiting from it. And who benefits in turns because those sales? Shareholders. So all this kind of stuff, it's like a whole effect. And sometimes I find that it's hard for me to like, let's be honest here. If everybody was as frugal as, let's say, I am about their spending, the stock market would not be as good as it is. Like, it would just be like, holy crap, like nobody's really buying everything. Like, they're just repairing their stuff. They don't want to buy new stuff. But thankfully people aren't like me. A lot of people, some people, they make some money and then they spend it all and then they help stimulate the economy. But if you spend too much money and you don't have enough savings, then it comes at a person's mental health. And I have met people in my life where they have nice stuff, but they're constantly in a state of stress because they feel that need to prove their worth to other people. And they get caught up in the whole cycle of consumerism, and it's very sad. And you can't talk people out of this kind of thing. You know, you can't tell a person like, hey, you don't need the newest iPhone out there. You can continue using your phone even if it's 2 years old. You don't need to buy a brand new $1,000 phone. But sometimes people would say, well, I want to, because here's the stupidest thing to me, right? When people say things like, oh well, I want to be successful on, let's say, YouTube or something, so I want to have like I know people would think I'm a hypocrite here, but they say like, I wanna always have the top of the line phone because I wanna make it big on YouTube, or I'm planning to make it big on YouTube, or I have a social media account, I got like 300 friends on there, and I just want to make sure that the stuff is really good, so when I break out I have really good quality. And it's like, well, look, the whole YouTube thing, it's not like, quality is important, but people care more about content than just having the sharpest image. And it's, yeah, I think that sometimes people just kind of think to themselves like, oh, just if I have the top quality camera, then I'll be able to be a very successful YouTuber, and that's not it. Like, if you have let's say, a YouTube account, and you don't even post anything, but you have the desire to post something, but you don't. It's like, how are you going to be big on YouTube? And yeah, so that kind of thing. I see people fall into all these money traps, and instead of putting their money on investments, they just put it into stuff, and it's not a good thing. But what can I say? I'm not in charge of other people's financial habits, and as much as I tell people to save their money, sometimes people push back on me and they say things like, I just want to live, you can't tell me what to do, kind of thing. And then you find out they have financial problems, and it's like, well, you did all that you could. You can't save everybody. The only thing I can really do is just watch out for myself, hopefully watch out for my loved ones, and watch out for my future kid. And that's what I'm planning to do. And maybe I'll have a kid one day, maybe I won't have a kid, but whatever the situation is, if I do have a child, I want to make sure that my child has a good portfolio, and that portfolio will definitely include Apple in there. So I will talk to you guys later. I know the stream has been going on for a while, but you guys take care, and don't be a clown, okay? You guys don't need me to say that. I think you guys already know that. And let's see over here. Let me look really quickly. Yeah, real estate builds wealth really fast, but I think it's harder for people to buy real estate, especially when real estate is like topping over $1 million in some places. So, what is more affordable than real estate? In my opinion, it's stocks. So that's why I push people for buying stocks over real estate, because I'm not expecting a person who makes $15 an hour to be able to buy a like a apartment or a house. But I think that they could if they just maybe squirrel some money away, and they maybe invest wisely. And if they do have a good financial future, it'll be more beneficial not just for them, but for their family as well. Okay, you guys, don't be a clown.